And we'll see. I'm going to try to record it on my computer. We'll see what crashes here. So,
I'll take notes too, Dave.
okay. I have set up a copy of the draft minutes in the folder for today's meeting, and I can take notes on that too. So,
Oh, okay.
the two of us together we'll be better than one. So,
We should be.
I'm sure two is better than one. So today is Wednesday, October 21st, 13 days before the election, I think. What an incredible time. I call this meeting of the WORT Board of Directors meeting in session to order. There's a copy of the agenda out in the shared drive. If there are no objections, we will consider that adopted. Any comments or corrections or objections?
Yeah, one comment. I think what you've got listed as item 8 really would be inappropriate to have in open session and could come under the executive session listed as item 9.
I will, at this point, delete that from my minutes, and we will consider that in the executive session.
Thank you.
Is there a reason for doing it in executive session rather than closed session, or?
It's the same thing, isn't it?
Okay.
I'm considering
It's
it the same
talking
thing.
about personnel matters that I don't believe is appropriate for an open session.
Agreed.
Right. I think it's just it's closed session, not necessarily an executive session. Maybe that's semantics on my part. I don't know. I don't think they're the same thing.
I will in my notes make it closed session. I am nothing if not adaptable here. Any other comments about the agenda? Hearing none, we will consider the agenda adopted. The September 2020 minutes were in the folder. I'm assuming that people had a chance to glance at those. And if there are no changes or suggestions or objections, we will consider those adopted. Any comments or changes or suggestions? Hearing none, we will consider those as adopted. If you think of something later, let me know, and we can go back and change that. I have received no communications from the public except for people who wanted to join this meeting. So we have about 3 or 4 guests here, I think. So welcome everybody. If anybody who is a guest would like to speak at this time, you are welcome to do so. That means members or Kathy. Yeah, come on, Kathy, say it.
Yeah. Ay.
Thank you. We needed that.
Yeah. I'm getting bounced back and forth.
All right. I think we can consider that closed. And there were no executive committee actions since the last meeting. Marty, would you like to jump in with the Finance Committee and Treasurer's report? You're muted, sir.
Yes, the Finance Committee met today. We didn't have any documents ready from the treasurer yet because all of the figures from for last month from the drive have not been finished. But I can tell you that according to the treasurer's report, or according to the accountant's report, that we are still in very good condition. Financially, we haven't spent any money from the PPP yet. And our accounts are even a little higher than they were last month. There's nothing that we heard from the treasurer that upset anybody on the Finance Committee about, about our financial position. We also discussed reviewed the budget that will be available soon to the board members, the proposed budget. Doug is going to get that out to us. We had adopted it for your perusal, and probably next meeting you will have a chance to ask questions about it. And probably in November, unless there's any major concerns, we should be able to pass the budget. The Finance Committee was encouraged with the budget, that things are still looking good. Like I always say, we are not rich, but we're doing well so far. Let's see. We also talked about a little bit about the implementation of PayPal for people who want to donate through PayPal. And we're going to be looking at a couple little technical changes in how we do things in the next month or two. And if we decide to make changes, we'll report on those. But that's basically it. Since I don't have I didn't get any documents yet, I can't give you the exact figures on what's in the bank accounts, but it's still at least as much as we had in the account last month. So if you have the figures from last month, you can see. It's, what did she say? Well over $300,000, I think.
Yeah, we're in amazing shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, the specific amounts were in our checking account, which is our what we use to pay the bills and such, is $253,000 and some change. Plus, there's the $100,000 in Heartland from the PPP forgivable loan, and that's in addition to the reserve funds that we also have at Summit. So that reserve money has not been touched. And then there's an additional $253,000 in active checking.
One other thing, it's my responsibility each month to make sure that the accounts have been reconciled with the bank statement. And I fill out a form that the auditor suggested 2 years ago. And because of COVID, I haven't been in the station since February. So those forms have not been completed, but Suzanne and I are working on a way to do that. I've done a couple now because I've gotten some of the accounts. Bank statements. Doug was able to give me some, but Suzanne has the rest at her house. And we're going to meet sometime and I'll be able to fill out those forms then. So I'm a little behind on my official duties, but we'll catch up before the end of the year. So I guess that's it. If anybody has any questions.
Yeah, Marty, I'm confused by the statement that we haven't, did you say we haven't spent any of the payroll protection plan money? That I don't understand how that works.
Well, we haven't accounted for it yet to the bank through to the a government agency that issued it. Is it the Small Business Administration?
Yes, it's SBA. Yeah.
Yeah, and we haven't been required to do that yet. So the money is really ours to use in several categories, but we just haven't done the accounting yet. So because there are some technicalities of waiting how much to learn how much the government will want us to pay back.
Can I make a comment on that?
But that probably will be nothing from everything we've heard from the bank, because we're allowed to use it for rent, utilities, and personnel expenses.
But I don't understand why we haven't, I mean, not reporting it and not spending it are different things. Have we not actually used that money that we were provided to,
Yeah,
for the purposes provided?
yet. I mean, in the sense that it's in our bank account, it can be used. All we have to do, from what I understand, and Dave knows more about this than I do, we have to account for the money that we were given in certain categories of use. Okay, and so even though we had money in the bank and we used, in theory, we used it for payroll, for benefits, for the other things it's allowed for, utilities, rent, mortgage payments, those kinds of things which we don't have. But we're pretty sure that from what the Small Business Administration and the banks have been talking about, we won't be required to pay any of that money back.
So we've just left it in that separate account, Stu, because we haven't needed it yet. So we can
It's in a separate account.
stick it into the general checking account if we want to, or we can stick it in
I think Marty's
the
really
reserves.
Marty, our bookkeeper, is
If
really
we
sick on the
if we
board.
need to pay any of it back, we
Can't
would
clear
take
his
it out of that
throat.
general account. And when we know what the final requirements are, we can.
Everyone has their picture off.
Kathy, you might want to mute yourself. Kathy,
Dave
Kathy,
says,
you might
"Come
want to
on,
mute
Kathy,
yourself.
join in."
Kathy, there you go.
I muted her.
Okay.
Sorry, Kathy. We were hearing everything you said, whispered or not. So
So did that answer your question, Stu?
Yeah, thank you.
it's surprisingly good. We also had a $100,000 bequest this last year. So right now our financial position is good, and we will be able to weather things well. Go ahead.
One more question about the PPP. Do I understand correctly, though, that there is no additional money, that the period of time that was supposed to cover has come and gone?
Well,
Yeah, essentially so. Yeah.
Okay.
We were only allowed 6 weeks, I think, or 8 weeks, something like that. Congress later extended the amount of time they could use to claim, to define or to demonstrate that you've used that money for salaries, but that doesn't give us any access to any more money. So the Finance Committee will decide what to do with that separate account when the time comes. It might make sense at the end of the year to move it over to the reserve fund, but we don't want to necessarily commit to long-term usage for that, because we might need it later on. So
My understanding is it can take up to 90 days for SBA approval for what is spent on. So is there a reason why we haven't started to get those approvals, just to make sure that everything is locked in?
so we're doing that through Heartland, and
Okay.
Heartland is then working with a third-party clearinghouse, and that third-party clearinghouse hasn't finished preparing their application process. So Heartland says, don't worry about it. We've got until July of 2021 to make that presentation before we have to start paying. Well, in fact, even then, we don't have to start paying on the loan until like 2022 or something. So we're waiting for Heartland to give us the green light to make that application to forgive.
Okay, thank you.
Marty, anything else?
no, that's it.
Thank you very much.
No other questions.
Questions or discussion? Great. Programming committee met, and Kurt sent us a report, and he said there were no action items on that. Policies and bylaws met, and Stu sent us a report. That's in there. Do you want to say something about that, Stu?
Well, we had a very good meeting. We prioritized the existing 42 policies. Marla made this really nice spreadsheet for us to track everything. And we completed our review of the background check policy. And it's been sent out to the DEI committee and the volunteer and the list and the vol announce. And we hope to get to incorporate those responses and then get the policy back to the board for approval at the December meeting. You all should have gotten a copy of it for your preliminary review. If you haven't, let us know and we'll make sure you get it. But we cover existing volunteers, new volunteer applicants, board members, and board applicants. So it's a pretty comprehensive policy, and we think it's a good one. We hope that the volunteers and the DEI work group like it, and that the board approves it come December. And other than that, that's where we're at.
Great, thank you very much. Discussion, questions? All right, nothing to report for elections. For Personnel Committee, Marla and I and Gil met on a conference, and we would like to start a check-in process with the staff. And I wanted to let the board know that we're going to start that. We might have some discussion about that in the closed session, so let's have that discussion at that point. The Engineering Committee report, Tom put a copy in the folder. Tom, did you want to say anything about the Engineering Committee report? And while you're at it, the Facilities report?
I don't think so. It's fairly self-explanatory. I guess I can do a quick synopsis of the HVAC system. Everything got installed. The AC is fixed at the transmitter. All the upgrades are done at the station. And the station smells cleaner, which is a wonderful thing.
I still haven't gotten a chance to get down there. I might ring your bell tomorrow. I have some time downtown to kill. So, oh, sorry, Shally, I'm sleeping at the wheel here. Apologies to Shally and Rosie as they join us. Hello, Shally. I don't see Rosie yet. Have I missed her? Ah, there, okay. Sometimes this interface is slow. All right, welcome Rosie, welcome Shally. We just finished with the engineering and the tech and facilities director report. Security committee hasn't met. Community advisory board, there is a report in the folder. I haven't had a chance to look at that myself yet. Who's our representative for the community advisory board?
That would be me. Hi, so yeah, hi, Megan Flowers here, taking over for board liaison position from Paul Novak. And the Community Advisory Board met on September 30th. We had not met since June. And so there was just a lot of catching up to do, a lot of introductions. We went over the June minutes and approved those and uploaded that. So a lot of that is no business that derived, just a lot of updating on what we had discussed here in the board already, and some updates from Glenn on happenings around well, not so much around the station, but just with staff. We provided an overview of staff and board happenings at this meeting, and we'll be meeting again on October 28th. So yeah, looking forward to learning more from that group and getting to know them better. But yeah, a good group of people to work with.
Great.
Thanks.
Great to hear. I have 17 things going on at once. Business and events report. Doug, would you like to make a comment there?
No.
Okay, thank you. And then there's a listener-sponsored development report, and that did have some items that we need to be aware of at the board level. Susan, are you on the call? I don't see her there. Okay. Let me preview that and see. The original goal of the drive was 80,000, and then Susan backed it off at the 6-month 2020 budget review to 70,000. But the total from the letter that we sent out before the drive and the drive was 80,345 as of the time of Susan's report. We did pretty well for a time of COVID pledge drive. The listener shout outs proved popular, but the procedure was a little haphazard because it was conceived so close to the drive. So it really worked well. The new part of the drive was remote phone answers. So working with Tom, we worked with TDS, got some new features installed in the phone system. We actually had to have executive committee action on that, I think. And so they installed new software that allowed us to have people answering from home. And that worked pretty well. However, the number of phone answers was very limited. And so we did long shifts and lots of them. But I was one of those, and it worked out well. People were grabbing those calls pretty quickly. So we're going to study this, and we don't know yet what's going to happen for the winter drive. We're going to look at using the automatic monthly feature of PayPal. And if Tom can figure out how to implement it without breaking 70 other things, we might do that for the next drive or soon. But it all depends on whether we can integrate that with our current website without breaking things. So that's all I can think of there. And I haven't had a chance to look at the music report.
Well, the big news on the music report is that Bill and Bobby are going to come back once a month. I mean, that's pretty exciting.
That is amazing. How are we going to do that?
Not physically. I mean, they're going to be doing it from Texas. I mean, that's really exciting. So that's
okay.
That's big news on the music report.
Okay, great. It's a really long music report, and both. Well, I'm not going to go on to that. So. It has been amazing to see how hosts have rolled with the punches and been able to produce their programs from home, and how news has been able to produce news and talk from home. It's been, I'm on the NFCB, the National Federation of Community Broadcasters email list, and we're all the community stations are struggling with how to do this. And we've done really well. So thank you to everybody for that.
The other important thing well, not the other, but an other important thing in that report is that we again won the MAMA Award for Local Radio Station of the Year, and Cooper Talbot won for favorite DJ. So that's nice.
Oh, that is nice. Yeah. Shally, since you are here, do you want to address any issues from the news and talk and a public affairs report? Oh, okay. You're muted, I think. I don't hear you anyway. You're silent running. Good news is nobody can listen in. Not yet. You're not showing up here as muted, so somehow your microphone is not plugged in, or the computer's not connecting your audio to the. Maybe you want to drop off and call back in. Okay, sorry.
You did put a note in the chat.
Okay. The only thing that she forgot is that we're airing the presidential debate tomorrow night. Should be an interesting debate if it happens. Who knows? In this particular campaign, anything can happen. Lots of cool stuff and web analytics. She's putting web analytics in her report, which really is interesting stuff to look at. That gives us a much better idea of how people are engaging and what things they're engaging in. So I won't go over the other things in her budget. I'm waiting for her to come back in my box to allow in, and I haven't seen. Oh, she's back. Shelley, are you back? I don't see you, but I think I hear background of Shelley. Maybe not.
Sorry, the radio was on.
Oh, that's fine. No, did you want to say something about your report?
All I said is I don't have that much to add. I'm really putting a lot of work into this election night special, and there's a lot more planning to do. Coordinating everyone. I still need to nail down some specifics. We're also recognized in the NFCB email list for collaborating with ISMIS. ISMIS wrote an election help grant, and it's not going through the board, but I was able to throw some reporters some money and some work through ISMIS, and we're going to start cross-posting some of our stories on their website next week if I can digitally produce them. And I'm able to cover, ISMIS is paying for some of Jonah's extra hours for election night.
Fantastic.
So yeah, and Martin Roccatsoli, our reporter, is making maps for ISMIS, and that's $500 for him. So it's nice that we're able to use we're a small part of their grant, but they wanted to collaborate. So that was very cool.
I think collaboration is wonderful. I really am happy about that.
It's really just Judy and Dylan, so pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. And Glenn has a report. It doesn't look like there are any action items here. My computer is...
No action items.
Okay.
I did want to say I've been enjoying working with the policy and bylaws and the DEI group. The policy and bylaws, we've been doing a lot of work at and in between meetings on the background check policy. And also the volunteer handbook is coming along. Marla did an amazing job of putting it into a new format and doing a little reordering. We actually met, Stu and Marla joined one of our staff meetings. So we talked about kind of the tone of the handbook and making it more friendly. And so we're off to a good start with reordering it. And we're gonna, at the next meeting, look at the table of contents and then start. Marla's continuing to drop in some items that she's collected, like the addenda that we've gathered over the years to the volunteer handbook. And then we'll be, people on the committee will be looking at that language again, and then we'll run it by the staff again. And so we're making some good progress on that. That's pretty exciting. And the background check policy, we really developed it quite a bit in the last two meetings and in between. And I sent it out to the language I sent out to Vol Announce, and have gotten a few comments back, generally positive. And so we'll be looking at that, and the DEI work group, which is still kind of forming our vision statement and working on things. We're going to weigh in on that, the background check policy, so that the policy and bylaws can take something to the board, hopefully in December. The DEI work group, Dan Lippett offered to do some facilitation using logic model, and we talked about it 2 meetings ago, and then we talked about it again this meeting and made the decision to go ahead, and we started working right away on that. So we'll continue with that. On a staff level, we're going to pick up again on the volunteer newsletter. So that'll be good. And then Doug and I talked about working with each other to revive what Shali was sending out, the news weekly. She was sending out through Constant Contact about 1,000 people. And so Doug's been talking specifically with Shali, and hopefully we'll get moving forward on that. And I look forward to helping with that. So yeah, and then also I've started working on updating my position manual. So
well,
that was in my report, but it's
that's fantastic news about the volunteer handbook. That's something that's been in the mill for a long time, and I think it's really important to have that up to date. So I'm really excited to hear that progress. Any questions from the board members or from the public who was here? Hearing none, there is no new business. So I think we've concluded the public part of the meeting. Thank you everybody who is a guest for coming. We're now going to enter a closed session. So that means the public can't be here and the staff can't be here. So I will take a minute for those people to drop off.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Move to go out of closed session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no.
And technically, now that we're back in open session, we're supposed to report the board discussed various personnel and workload issues.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
So move.
Second.
Eric moved and Rosie seconded.
Everybody all at once.
So this has been the first Zoom meeting that I've controlled, and I've been slow on the uptake on adding people in.
You did well.
But
Yeah.
Just watch at the beginning, because I was sitting there for half an hour.
yeah.
Oh, she was locked out?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, everybody has to go into the waiting room first, and I was paying attention to the agenda down on the lower left instead of the people in the room on the upper right. So
I do join us, Rosie.
Okay.
Dave, I can,
Yep. See
Dave,
you
I
all
can
later.
tell
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks.
Aye.
Bye.
Dave, if you're still here, I'll just tell you, you're doing a much better job than the majority of Wisconsin's judges that are having their
really?
own Zoom meetings.
Oh, okay.
Because all the legal proceedings basically are via Zoom, and judges aren't as tech savvy as you are. I'll just
Okay.
put that up. There's a couple that have done a pretty solid job, I'd say. And some that are, it's a struggle. Anyway,
It's been fascinating watching things, and there was one reporter who was reporting with a shirt, no pants, and did something where he stood up, and everyone was able to see he had no pants on.
Yeah, what was it? It was like March, April, May, and June. I went like 6-0 in court not wearing pants. So that was the running joke for us for a bit. Like, okay.
Okay.
That's
Thanks,
what
everybody.
Dave, can I talk to you for
Yeah.
a moment?
Well,
Yeah.
we're still recording. Oh no, we can cut that last
I'll
part.
edit that out. Believe me.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, Eric. Go ahead, Marty.
When I called you and talked to you about Doug a month or two ago, remember that?
Yeah.
The only reason I did that is he was being very helpful to me and to Suzanne. There was no like behind the scenes lobbying me or anything like that. It was just that I could appreciate it, even though I knew he his actual duties had slacked because of the lack of events. And Suzanne also said to me yesterday that he's helped her immensely because there's things she can't do using the software program from home. She can't send out an email from the software program from home, so Doug has to do it. She can't print things, so Doug has to do it and then send it to her. So there are some things happening, but yeah. So
see, one of the problems I think is going on is that from the point of view of Susan, she doesn't see a lot of the things that Doug does. Well, part of the reason is because everybody's ensconced in their office and doesn't wander around like they used to. So people aren't seeing what other people are doing. So
Yeah.
that's going to come out in these check-in sessions.
yeah, the feeling I have too is there's always been tension since I've been around between the two of them. So the other thing is I started to look at those documents you sent me, and first of all, I can't sign it digitally.
Oh, okay.
And secondly, I'm not sure what reinstating, you said something about reinstating. So is there a time tomorrow you and I can look at them online together?
Sure, sure. I have, hang on a second, let me bring up another window here. Between, let's say, between 1:30 and 4, I'm out. So, so it has to be in the morning sometime. Can you make a morning meeting?
Yeah, that's no problem for me tomorrow. Tomorrow's
Okay.
Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
what,
10 o'clock?
10? Okay, and how should we do it?
Just a phone call, I think. Unless you want to do something like this. Well, we could do a Google Meet and then share screens if we want to do that.
Yeah, and I have two screens on my connected to my computer, so I can compare things.
So I think there are actually 3 different items we're talking about. One is registering as a corporation, one is registering for solicitation, and the third is sending in the report, the 1952. And so I think those are 3 separate things. But the registration as a corporation, the website says it's a $10 fee, but that's for 2 years. And I don't know how they figured that out.
So, yeah, and do I need to download some software to create a digital signature? I've never used that.
So I'm assuming you've got a PC.
Yeah, well, yeah, laptop, yeah.
Yeah. I think you can do a digital signature in Adobe Acrobat Viewer, or what do they call it? You said it before.
Well, Acrobat.
Yeah.
Adobe Acrobat.
So you can in Adobe use your mouse to write a signature, or is your screen a touch screen?
No.
Okay. And a third thing you can do is sign a piece of paper and take a picture of that with your cell phone camera and then upload that to your computer, and then we can use that as your signature.
Oh, okay.
So I've done all of those. So.
Well, my tremor is some days it's really bad, and I might have my wife write my signature.
Okay. Well, if you want to just sign a piece of paper and take a picture of it and send that to me, I'll stick it in that form.
Okay.
And then we'll have a completed form for that. So.
Okay, very good. And then.
I've done that with my wife too. When she has to sign things, she signs a piece of paper, I take a picture of it, and I insert it in the document as on behalf of her.
Would I then have a digital signature that I could use also?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I think you could import that into Adobe. You know,
Okay.
when we had the when we signed the documents for TDS, it used an online service called DocuSign, and also for the PPP grant, they used DocuSign, and DocuSign has this script-like typeface that isn't my signature at all, but it says that that's your signature. So, so having your wife sign it wouldn't be totally out of the realm either. So,
Okay. I'll look that up because actually I can see it becoming more and more necessary.
DocuSign you have to pay for. So I wouldn't try to do that personally.
Oh, okay.
But have your wife sign a piece of paper for you, and then save that as a file, and then you can use it to digitally sign things.
Okay, good.
Good. Okay.
Okay, 10 o'clock tomorrow?
10 o'clock tomorrow. Yep.
Okay, very good. I'll
Thank
see
you. Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.